everyone.
Hello.
Let us continue with our studies of the spiritual. We are in part 4 and question 980. If you will mute you all and except Tiago, if you could read for us, you can
Sure.
yourselves. Let me just share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Question 980. Is the sympathetic link that unites spirits of the same order a source of happiness for them? The union of spirits who sympathize with the love of goodness is one of their greatest joys, because they have no fear of seeing that union disturbed by selfishness. In the spiritual world, they form families inspired by the same sentiment, as they group into categories and experience joy in being together. This union constitutes the happiness of those worlds. The pure and sincere affection that elevated spirits feel, and of which they are the object, is a source of happiness because they are neither false friends nor hypocrites among them. People enjoy the first taste of happiness on earth when they meet others with whom they can enter into a pure and virtuous union. In purer existences, this happiness becomes indescribable and limitless because they only meet sympathetic souls that are not saddened by selfishness. All is love in nature. Selfishness kills.
So here they are describing about, how is the union among the spirits that have the same ideals. And of course, in this sense, we are talking about good ideals where they will feel no envy, not only, thinking about themselves, they are going to be thinking about a common good. And this makes, uh, there's a background noise here. Let me see if, okay. And they are able to feel this joy that we should be trying to reach even here on earth. Like they say, when we are with people that think alike, when we have, pure and virtuous emotions and purposes, we can already feel the same thing here. It doesn't need, for us to feel this to return to the spiritual world. Anything else that someone would like to say, or should we go ahead?
For those who are on the phone, you can press, I think what is a hashtag and 6, or do you remember to unmute? I'm sorry.
Yeah. *6.
Yes. Oh.
Okay. Okay. So let's continue, Tiago, please.
Sure. Question 981. Is there any difference in future conditions between souls who were afraid of death during life and souls who were indifferent to it or even looked forward to it with relief? There may be a very considerable difference between them, though it is often eliminated by the causes which gave rise to that fear or desire. Different feelings move people who dread death and those who look forward to it. These feelings determine the state of the spirit. For instance, when individuals desire death because it means the end of tribulations, the desire is an act of defiance against God and the trials they must undergo.
So here it's clear that they are saying, there are people that are afraid, there are people that are indifferent, or even wish to die. But then we have to look at their reasons, right? If I'm indifferent, and even in a way I'm seeking for death to come soon, because I want to prevent myself to endure what we have to endure while on earth. we are not displaying, you know, something good. So there we will see the differences in terms of according to the understanding, to the knowledge. Like for instance, we common mention that it, despite the fact that as spiritists we know that life goes on, that is not the end of us, that we will even reincarnate again, is not that we are, you know, rushing to die or, you know, wishing for death to come soon. Because at the same time, we understand that we are on earth to fulfill commitments that we understand are going to help us in our spiritual progress. So we are not rushing to death. We are not uh, calling for death, and we may even be afraid of dying prior to fulfilling our commitment. So there will be different reasons, even for those who understand, or different emotions, even for those who understand that death is not the end of everything.
Yeah. Jusara, I'd like to ask a question.
Yeah?
Yeah, where it says the same answer, 981, when it says individuals desire death because it means the end of tribulations, is that close to suicide? Is it
Well,
a form of suicide?
I mean, depends on what exactly you are doing, right? I mean, I may wish to die soon. I may wish to you know, pray for my life to be abbreviated. But if I'm not taking any measure to contribute to that, we cannot say necessarily that is a suicide. But I mean,
Okay.
if I put myself in a state of, you know, profound the depression and and fasting, starving myself to provoke illnesses, I mean, then maybe we can say that we haven't valued life that much, or classify that as being what the spirit André Lewis talks in the book Nosso for us about unconscious suicide. But we cannot necessarily say that this is exactly, you know, suicide.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Orlando, you are in mute. You have to unmute yourself.
Usara, can you hear me?
Yes, but if you can speak louder, is better. I hear better. Okay.
Yes. Does free will comes into conflict where people say it's my free will and I have enough of life here. Is there a conflict? What happens with those that object to being interfere with the decision to die?
Again, Orlando, free will is free will. As long as we understand that, yes, we have the right to choose, even to desire death, even to provoke our death. But for every action, there is a reaction. So if we are willing to pay the price of our actions, and in this case, of course, we are talking about negative actions, but they are the positive actions as well, you know. So it's always our free will that is commanding everything. So there is no conflict here, because it's ultimately, again, it's always going to be our choice whether we want what we are going to be doing with our lives.
But are we going to be punished for that decision? What's the consequence when you go against?
No, there is no punishment, Orlando. There is reaction for an action.
Mm.
So it's I understand that there are rules that there are rules of the universe. Okay, if I throw an object to the air, I know that the law of gravity will make this object fall down, right? I
Yes.
mean,
Yes.
it is my decision to open my hand now and let this go.
Mm-hmm.
So the action of doing that is mine. The reaction goes according to the laws of the universe. So
Mm-hmm.
I release it, it goes away. So that's the same thing. We understand that when I throw an action into the world, there is going to be a reaction.
Yes.
Good, bad, so so,
Mm-hmm.
wonderful, terrible, according to what we are doing and our choices. So that's how it is. So it's not God punishing us, it's not the spirit punishing us. Many
Well, we do.
times the ones that punish is ourselves because of guilt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we will come to the realization that we knew better, and why am I'm still doing things that actually wind up harming me. And so we may feel this guilt, this regret, but it's not God, it's not any other deity
Mm-hmm.
punishing us or pointing our fingers to us. Actually, most of the times, they are the ones that come to our rescue when we are in a terrible stage of guilt, despair, and etc. And they say, "Go, my son, go, my daughter. You can do it. You can do it again. You can do it better. We are going to
Mm-hmm.
be assisting you. You are going to be, holding you in our arms, so to say." So that's how it is. Let's go to the next one, Tiago, please.
Sure. 982. Is it necessary to acknowledge Spiritism and believe in spirit manifestations to ensure our happiness in the next life? If that were true, those who do not believe in them or who have not had the opportunity to learn anything about them would be disinherited, which would be absurd. Doing what is good is what ensures future happiness, and the good is invariably good, regardless of the path that leads to it. Belief in Spiritism helps our self improvement by clearing up our ideas about our future. It hastens the progress and advancement of individuals and the masses because it enables people to ascertain what the future will be, and is both a beacon and a source of support. Spiritism teaches us to bear our trials with patience and resignation, turns us away from actions that could delay our future happiness, and contributes to our reaching that happiness. However, it does not imply that we may not reach that same happiness without it.
I just love this question because
Yeah.
so many people have, questions like this one. Oh, what about those that do not know, do not have the knowledge of spiritism or spiritual
Right.
values? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
God is not favoring them. What is going to happen to them? It is injustice. Well, first of all, spiritual values are everywhere at the reach of everyone, especially in this era of technology like we are living nowadays. So it's at the reach of everyone. It's not something new. So to look for religiosity, to look for spirituality. Uh, of course, spiritism will help us to understand more things pertaining to the immortal spirit. So once we understand why we are here, from where we came and to where we are going, it makes easier for us to modify our behaviors according to the divine laws. And in this way, ensuring future happiness to us and even present happiness to us. Because every time that I refrain myself from doing something that I know that is going to cause harm to me, even if I'm not feeling immediate an immediate reward, recompense for doing that, I'm not going to feel the opposite, which would be, the bad consequence of a bad behavior. So it's very important for us to establish that people, all of us, throughout the whole earth, we have the same opportunities. We have the same free will, choice to look for answers and to behave according to behaviors that are going to give us happiness. And nowadays, the more society progress, not even only through religious, spiritual, philosophical beliefs, we will find good directions, good guidelines for our lives, but we will find that in the laws as well. Okay, the laws are progressing as well, inducing us to go and look for the path of righteousness. And so we cannot say that human beings do not have or do not have the possibility by themselves to look for things, for answers, for understanding that are going to promote the well-being, the present well-being, and the future well-being. The more we look for that, the more it's going to be easier for us to change our ways and to find, if not necessarily what we still understand as being happiness, at least peace of mind, which is quite something already.
Jusada,
Yes?
this is what I wanted to hear from you in case there are some new people during these times. They make you hear that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. You see, even this morning I was talking to João because how we tend to judge a lot people without understanding well what is spirituality and what is spiritism means to us. In the almost 20 years that we have, going through the 20 years that we have SGNY, we have had so many people coming and going, and some of them just coming, going, and never returning. And sometimes we tend to think, oh, they only came when they, in times of need. Now they are okay with their lives or whatever, or they lost track with spirituality. But this is what we are completely mistaken. If people come and they learn and they understand the principles and they are applying that in their day-to-day lives, maybe they don't need to come back.
Right.
Maybe it's okay for them. I myself could not say the same for me. I think in a way I like to be more, protected and guided and have some, more directions. But maybe other people, they don't need that, because once you learn what you need to learn from spiritism in terms, how to better your lives. I mean, it's not like before we have to go there and punch every week the card of a church, a temple, or the spiritual center, and then I'm okay with the law. I already did my duties of the week. It's not that, it's the day-to-day lives. So in a way, I try to be more optimistic, and I think, maybe those people that came, stayed for a while, didn't return, they got what they needed, and now it's between them and God, and applying this in their day-to-day lives. So I think it's going to be another motive of surprise when we return to the spiritual realm, and you will see those people that perhaps you said, oh, come on, you just wait. I remember you going to spiritual center just 1 year in your life. I spent 50 years of mine, and you're in a better position than I am. What's your secret? The secret is in 50 years, I still could not do what I had to do. And then in 1 year, refresh their memory and start doing what we need to do. Because this is not a university. We are not here just to polish knowledge. We are here actually to, be reminded, inspired, motivated, brave enough to do what we have to do. Soraya, you are going to say something?
No. Just listening to what you're saying it's so clear to understand some, depending on the level that we're in, right? I mean, I believe that you are, in my eyes, in my thoughts, that you are way up there in advanced, but we shouldn't compare. All I know is that you have so much knowledge on this, and you express yourself so well, and to think that what you just said, that some people come just because they just need a little push, and others stay because we need more than a push.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that. I understand that you expressed it so clearly, because many times while we were there, many people go, they come and go. And sometimes I think, I said, gee, what happened to this person? So nice. I thought they were going to stay. Oh, wow, they left. And now you make it so nice and clear, it's just that they probably came for something that they needed, or they needed a little push. I need a whole lot. So
and
it's so clear to understand that.
And even if they are not there all the time praying and thinking about spiritual things or reading the book, if they are being good wives, good husbands, good daughters, good citizens of the world, it can be much better than us. And remember, Soraida, that scary phrase from Jesus. Much will be asked. Those who have much receive it. So, for us, we have that have more knowledge, more understanding.
They expect more from us. Yes, absolutely.
Dot. You fill the gap there, okay?
Oh, yes. Much is asked of us, absolutely.
But again, I just wanted to emphasize, this judgment that we make of people. Oh, that person never returned. Maybe they didn't like. No, maybe their life is good now. They don't need the spirituality. No, maybe they learned what they had to learn, and they are now trying to apply. It's like, when we go to college, right? We stay in college for 4, 6, 8 years. That's it. Then you go to life and apply what you learn. So it's the same thing here.
Right.
The dog is barking.
I hear.
That is something we cannot control.
No, you can't.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Temporary atonements.
Atonements. Okay.
Question 983. Temporary atonements. When atoning for faults in a new existence, does a spirit experience material suffering? If so, is it correct to say that the soul only experiences moral suffering after death? It is very true that when the soul is reincarnated, it is forced to suffer the trials of physical life. However, only the body experiences material suffering. You often say that when someone dies, that they no longer suffer, but this is not always true. A spirit no longer experiences physical pain, but depending on their imperfections, they may have to bear more severe moral suffering and may be even unhappier in a new life. Those who are greedy beg for bread and are prey to all the miseries of poverty. The proud experience of all types of humiliation, and those who have abused their authority and treated subordinates poorly must obey an even crueler master. All the tribulations of life are atonements for the faults committed in a previous life, unless they are the consequence of faults committed in the present life. When you leave your present life, you will understand this. People who consider themselves happy on earth because they are able to satisfy their passions make little effort to improve themselves. Such ephemeral happiness is often atoned in the present life, but certainly it can be atoned in another life that is equally material.
Okay, so here we are talking about, our experience on material life and how can we relate to that in this is spiritual life. Well, I mean, it's easy to understand that because we have a physical body, we will be endure uh, consequences of things that are going to affect our physical body. For instance, when it is too hot, 100 degrees, and you have to work outside, it's a burden to your physical body. When it is 15 degrees, it's too cold and windy, it's a burden, it's suffering to your physical body. So we have a physical body. We are not just talking about illnesses. We are not just talking about the results of accidents, or even the common, not so common nowadays, flu,
Oh
right?
God.
Uh,
Yes.
it's, it pertains to the realm of physicality. When we return to the world of the spirits, we don't have this garment anymore. So we will not be subject to uh, things that would be the cause of suffering to this garment, to this physical body. But we still have suffering of the soul, moral suffering, as they say, that we can have in both incarnate or discarnate life, meaning it regardless of us having a physical body or not, we may feel things that will lead us to suffer. Like for instance, they give the example here, a person that was too greedy when incarnate, not having, money, position, power anymore, even in the present life, if something happens, they will suffer because of it. And in the physical realm, understanding that they no longer have their possessions, they will suffer as well. Having used those possessions in a bad way, in a completely selfish way, they may be even inclined to accept a reincarnation where they will be deprived of resources. So to to rid themselves of this, let's say, illness of the soul, of being too greedy, of being too selfish, of being too jealous, of being too ambitious, of being someone that would be ingrate to people that help them. So countless reasons that may make us suffer in the spiritual world. One of them, of course, being us recognizing that we could have done more for our spiritual progress, and we were not paying that much attention, or distracted, or we thought that would be, too much sacrifice. And then we would say, oh my God, it was not too much sacrifice. So it's important for us to understand that the suffering of the spirits are basically the suffering of the soul, of guilt and remorse.
Jusara,
Yes.
you see, I don't blame the physical body. The physical body does not think. It's the incarnated spirit. This is why I use the example of the robot. The robot uh, the robot, if it causes damage, it's not the metal part or the steel part, but it's the program within the robot that does it. And the same way it happens with the physical body. Without the physical body, the spirit cannot do the harm or the damage that it does in this life.
Exactly. And I mean, the body may have cravings, but the cravings will be the consequence of what we as a spirit have imposed to the bodies. Let's say that every day I eat a certain amount of sugary something. Okay. So the day that I decided to stop doing that, my body will say, hey, come on, where is my daily doses of sugar? Why are you not providing me with that? I mean, probably at the beginning when we were start taking that much sugar, the body had to go to an adjustment, to be able to process all this extra sugar. Probably we had headaches, stomach aches, etc. And then the body, little by little, in a self-defense mechanism, start adjusting to this lifestyle that we are promoting, that we are taking to the body. So all of a sudden we say, you know what? I've been abusing my body for too long. Now I'm out of sugar. The body will say, come on. It took me years, or at least months, to digest all the bad things that you have been feeding me, to build a complete self-defense mechanism, not to crash. And now that I'm used to that and that I function to that, you come to me and says, reboot. We're going to start a new way lifestyle. So the body will have cravings, but only in terms of physicality. And we as spirits are the one that are going to be imposing those things and burdens and suffering in our bodies in this way. You see, so it's always the spirit. And then, like we said, every action has a reaction. The reaction here and now is this one that, I've been um, making myself, my body use it to something. And now that I finally realize that it's better to, to change my ways, the body has to go through the suffering again. But it's always the spirit. The spirit is always the one to blame.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yes.
So let's go to 9484.
984. Are all major adversities in our current earthly lives always an atonement for current faults committed by us? No. We have already told you that they are trials imposed by God or chosen by you in the spirit state before your reincarnation to atone for the faults committed by you in a previous life. No violation of God's laws, especially of the law of justice, ever remains unpunished, and a corrective measure will sooner or later always take place. If you do not correct it in the same life, you will certainly have to correct it in another. This is why individuals whom you view as fair-minded are often tormented by the faults of their past.
Okay, let's start talking about the word punished here. Again, every time that we mention the word punishment, uh, we are talking about results of bad actions, bad choices that we made. We are not talking about a God punishing us. We are talking about results, about consequences. So here, like they say, the atonements that we are going through life, the difficulties we go to life are always the result of our actions. If not present, and many of them, like we already stated so many times, actually, unfortunately, are the result of current faults in the present life, but some of them will be the result of faults we have committed in other incarnation. And some of them are just the result of, life in a planet of trials and atonements. They're just starting moving to a world of regeneration. So that means to say that we are subject to cold, to warm, to hot weather, to rain, to everything that we have in nature, experiencing nature, that can reflect as motive of suffering in our incarnation. Or how many examples we see in the Spiritist books and books from Emmanuel and even Andrea Lewis, that high order spirits or more evolved spirits that do not need a certain amount of suffering, they volunteer themselves to reincarnate in families that are going to bring them a lot of suffering and problems, just to help those spirits, those individuals. So are they atoning something? No, they are actually using an opportunity to improve even more themselves, to practice charity, to be good, and to help loved ones that they want to see moving forward as well. So it's very important for us to have this in mind. And again, remember that it's not God that is punishing us. It's we that are receiving the consequences of our actions that now seem to be a punishment. Again, I eat a whole cake. Oh, at that moment, this is the pleasure of the pleasure. But then I have to deal with the consequences. I'll get fat. My cholesterol is going to get high. Probably the day I will have a stomach ache, diarrhea, etc. You know, we don't need to get into details here, right? But at
Yeah.
that moment, and then, oh my God, I've been punished because I ate too much, because I drank too much. I've been punished by whom? God. Come on. We are not children anymore. We knew better. So let's take God out of the equation and finally assume that is everything up to us. And again, I know this is not easy. It's so much easier to blame God or anyone but ourselves.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay? I think we have time for another one.
985. When a spirit reincarnates in a more advanced world, is this a reward? It is a consequence of its purification. As spirits become purified, they reincarnate in progressively higher worlds until having rid themselves of all materiality, wash away all impurities, and entering the eternal happiness of fully purified spirits in God's heart. In worlds where the conditions of existence are less material than ours, the wants of their inhabitants are less crude and their physical suffering is less acute. The people from those worlds no longer possess the vile passions that make them other each other's enemies in lower worlds, having no motives for hatred or jealousy. They live in peace because they practice the law of justice, love, and charity, and experience none of the worries and anxieties incited by envy, pride, and selfishness that torment us on earth.
Okay, so I mean, when we were reading that, I was thinking about the system of reward that we have for children. So you go
Mm.
to school the first year, kindergarten, pre-K, kindergarten, first grade. Oh, you got a star. So we are
Mm.
still looking for stars, you know. Oh, I'm going to be rewarded. Like, you know, God is giving me a star. Thumbs up, you know. No, I mean, it's not a reward. It's the natural consequence of our law of affinity. We are here, reincarnate on this earth, because whether we like it or not, we are very much like everyone else, like we are seeing in the world right now. Even the ones that are making such a mess in New York City right now, uh,
Mhm.
screaming, looting, all of these things. Maybe
Mhm.
we are just refraining ourselves because, oh, what if someone sees me, right? Or maybe, yeah, we already know a little better in relation to that, but not in relation to other things. So it is only a natural consequence of purification, like they say here. And that's why we have to strive, because now that I know that this level of evolvement that our planet is and to which I'm attracted is only the result of what I still am, and there is a possibility that I can be better and live much happier places. Why am I going to delay my moving to a better neighborhood if it is within my reach? We have to pay the price. What is the price? Forget about what you are today and build a new self for tomorrow, a better self, a better version of you for tomorrow. And in this way, you can progress, you will progress, and you will be in tune with worlds that are much safer, happier, where they say here is physical, even physical suffering is less acute.
Jusara,
Yes.
what does it mean to be purified? Can a hypnotist uh, cleanse your mind and you be purified? Just purify means forgetting the, the bad, the evil that you have done. What does it really mean to be purified? Again, I bring the issue of the hypnotist. He could say, "Okay, I'm going to cleanse your mind of all the evil and all that." What's the difference?
Orlando, I think that our main problem is not defining what purifies mean, but actually doing something to purify ourselves. Everyone know what is purify. I mean, you go in the dictionary, you'll say it's become purer. It's become better than you are today. The problem here is not with the definition, is with putting that in practice. Okay, how can I put that in practice? For each and every one of us, it's going to be a different formula, because you may have areas that you, let's say, you need to purify, that, for my level of involvement right now, I'm already okay. But I will have others that I will have to purify and you not. So the process for you is going to be different than for me, than for each one of us here. And the speed, uh, the commitment that we will have, the realization that we'll have to do something. I think that we are in a stage of involvement that we have first and foremost to acknowledge that we can no longer be what we were. Enough is enough. And really not be embarrassed by having to come to this realization. Because it is the only way for us to start doing something in the opposite direction. While I'm still saying, no, but that's okay. I know this is not so good, but look, everyone is doing the same in the world, so I fit. We don't want to fit in this level anymore. I myself, I want to fit in a different level. It doesn't mean that I'm succeeding or succeeding as much as I wish, but I'm ambitious. I already know that things can be better, so I have my eyes on going there, right? Whether I'm going to do it and how long it's going to take for me to do it, I mean, it depends on how I'm going to commit, how I'm not going to sabotage myself, because many times what we do is like we say, okay, I'm a jealous person and I'm an angry person. So I managed to work on my jealousy, but not on my angry side. So I say, oh, it's no point. I'm never going to do it. Come on, I'm doing already. I'm managing at least the jealous side. If I persist, I'm going to manage sooner or later my angry side, and then my, I don't know, other side, and my other side. But what it is that we give up. Very much like we want, children to learn a new sport, or to play an instrument, and they go there and say, I'm never going to be able to play the piano. I mean, and if you hear them for a year, 2 years, you will say perhaps the same. Say, no, this guy will never play the piano. Who knows, 5 years from that age, then we will start sounding not so much excruciating as before. And they even become something big in the world of musicians. But there is only one way: persistence,
Yes.
resilience, persistence, resilience, not to give up. But we give up too easily because it hurts. I mean, I go to the gym and I have to, you know, lift 1 pound. Oh my God, that's horrible. I mean, a year from now, I'm lifting 5 pounds, and if I get the 1 pound, I'll say, "Oh no, this is for children. Let me get the 5 pounds already. Let me be ambitious, go for the 10 pounds." I mean, it's the same thing, but at the beginning, it was excruciating, and it is, and it is. So this is how we purify ourselves, by being true to ourselves.
USADA, I
Yeah.
love your laugh.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
Justada, it all depends. It's so beautiful. It all depends on ourselves. It's so clear. You don't need to understand too much, but it is what it is. It is up to us. You want long atonements. You want to do more. You want to suffer more, or not suffer, but you need to improve yourself more. You must understand that these atonements are for the good of ourselves in order to better ourselves. And if we don't work at it, you don't get better. Just like you said, you go to gym, you have to work at it. Slowly but surely we get there. And
Remember
it
that
seems
passage
sometimes.
of, oh, sorry, I thought you finished. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, go ahead. No, I
That
said it
passage from Jesus in the rich guy that comes to Jesus and say that he wants to follow him, and then Jesus say, "Okay, give up
oh,
all your fortune, come and
leave
follow."
everything. Yes,
Give
yes,
everything.
yes,
So it's the
yes,
same thing with us. I mean, we are still not ready to pay the price
exactly.
to transcend.
Yeah, yeah.
We're still giving value to things that do not have value. And I mean, if you do remember the story of this guy as well, at the same day he had a very prestigious race, that car race. They had the Roman car race, and he died
Ah,
that same day. So he
right.
didn't even enjoy his fortune any longer. I mean,
Yes,
can you imagine this guy return to the spiritual world and thinking, "Oh my God, I changed a life with opening, realization, growing, learning because of few minutes or that I had to leave to go to a race, and I perished, and I didn't even enjoy, not even fame, not even fortune." And in a way, I think it resonates in us because even if we are not about to die this afternoon, God forbid,
mm-hmm.
okay,
Good guy. Okay.
it's it's a metaphor. It's
Yes,
not an afternoon, but it almost feels like an afternoon when we think about the wasted years
yes,
or decades that that we lost, and that meant nothing in the big scheme of immortal life. So yeah, okay.
yes.
Let's. Who is going to do the final
Oh, I
prayer?
am. I am. Yes,
Okay,
I am.
Tara, you'd like to remind everybody about the symposium?
please.
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah,
me. Ah,
yes.
okay, don't forget that this weekend we are going to have our virtual symposium, and I'm begging everyone to get into there. Even if you're not
Yes.
paying attention, just put your device there. Let the spirits learn if you don't want to learn, okay?
Yes.
It's Eastern time is going to start at 4 p.m. Saturday and 12 Sunday. And
Okay.
it's going to be, we can watch it through the Facebook of the United States Spiritist Federation or the
You
uh,
too.
YouTube
You
United States Spiritist Federation.
Okay.
So don't
Good.
miss it. It is in our email, okay?
Yes.
All the information.
Okay. Thank you, Josara. Okay, so let's do our final prayer. To our spiritual benefactors, our Heavenly Father, how grateful we are for the opportunity of continuing our studies through the new technology. We thank you, dear Father, for allowing us always to keep our spirit with information that is so crucial for us on this planet Earth, and especially nowadays that life is going with so much troubles and pain. But as we understand that it's what we need in our lives now, but always remembering to continue to work through love and charity, all the precepts of our Christ, never to forget that we are always protected and guided. But most important for us to continue on the path of goodness and peace. We thank you, dear Lord, for all the messages that you send us through teachers and mediums and through studies. We thank you, dear Lord. And we ask to continue throughout the week with our prayers, with our hearts open to all that are in need on this planet Earth. And keep ourselves with good thoughts in our hearts, to our families, to all that surround us, and especially for those that are in hospitals who are helping all that are in need. We continue our prayers for their strength and their guidance. Thank you, dear Lord. And with that in mind, we ask permission to close our meeting today. So be it.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Josara. Thank you.
Bye.